Hi. So I was diagnosed with a major depression back in 2016. That's when I officially went to a mental hospital and they diagnosed me with major depression. I had been suffering from it for quite a while. I remember the first time I someone noticed that I was depressed was back in high school. I think life had gotten a bit tough. I had moved away from home. It was my first time in boarding school, and it took a lot of adjusting. I didn't have anyone from back in my hometown back in the school, so I had to like start making friendships from scratch. So, and I didn't fit in well. I came from a small village, and in it's called Manunga in Nyandarua County. Um and here I was in Nairobi, the first time living in Nairobi for more than a short visit to my uncles and aunts' places. So, adapting to this, a new kind of environment, a new clique of people, and all that, I was already depressed by the time I was going in. So, getting there and finding a more difficult situation just made things a bit worse. I thought of suicide. I heard of a story that one of the people who lived in one of in the hostel I was living in high school had hanged himself using these ropes used by cobblers to mend shoes in the toilets. So I could see the environment had been difficult for some people. Also, while I was there, someone committed suicide. Uh, I don't remember which year that was in. They committed suicide, and we were informed when we came back to school. So it was a challenging environment, and I guess I wasn't mentally prepared for it, but I pulled through. Mostly by I had a small radio. We were allowed to have radios in school, so that's what I would like calm down with and focus a lot on just studying. I wasn't very athletic or into sports much, but I put all my effort into school. That was a big distraction. I would play here and there, maybe during physical education class, uh, but not too much into the sports and everything. I wasn't involved in the club activities and such. I found it difficult to fit in, if I was to say it honestly, but it didn't go like too badly. Things went on fine. I was able to complete my high school, and I got accepted to the University of Toronto in Canada, and I was very excited. I was going out of the country for the first time, and I I was excited. I would say I told some of my friends. My family was happy for me. I remember they took me to the airport and all that. My grandma came with a lot of women from her village. She lives in Morono, and they all escorted me to the airport that morning. I didn't even get a chance to greet them that morning because I was late for my flight, so I just walked in quickly. So I didn't know things are gonna could get even worse than they were. I I was met by this new environment where again for a second time I didn't know anyone. I found like a couple people from high school that were in the same that had gotten into the same university, and yeah, that was about it. And it's not people I had known while I was in high school. Like it's not people I'd say were my friends while I was in high school. So it was still a fresh start, but at least we had some commonality, so we could discuss about issues from school and we understand each other. That was a bit better, but the environment was very challenging. I think it was the first time I experienced racism, and that was hard to accept. Accepting that I was black, I was a minority, and this is not my home. I was made to feel all that every day, every second, every hour. And I was stopped by police once where they said I marched. We were a group of three people, three black people. So said we matched the description of some burglars who just mugged a store. And yeah, the only description was the two black men wearing hoodies, and that's exactly how we looked like. So we were stopped. It ended well. We didn't have any confrontation. The police are a bit nice, I would say. Uh, it was a culture shock, and now fitting in with the locals was even harder. I I stayed there for I think 5 years. I didn't make a single friend from that country. It was that hard to fit in. I felt like the conversations were forced, even when I had a chance to have a conversation with a local. I felt like it was a forced conversation. I couldn't really relate. Even the stories they're talking about, their childhood stories and all that, I could not sincerely relate. So it was very lonely, and that was not good for my depression. I got into my first relationship. I don't even know whether it was a relationship, but that ended my first emotional pain. Stress, school was not going well. My dad got sick at that time. Financially, they were not doing well at home. They were rearing chickens, and most of them died and all that. And my dad had just been laid off from work. My mom was jobless at that time. She was just a housewife. So there's a lot of pressure on me to provide for family and at the same time maintain my schoolwork, which was going down badly. I came from getting A's in high school to getting C's and D's and finally F's in my classes. So there was a lot of stress on that direction. My identity was school focused. I was known as someone who's good at school. I was not good at anything else. So when that crumbled, I felt like my life was over. So I was very suicidal at that time. I remember when I first went to hospital, I was feeling very suicidal. I just started by wishing I was not born because this was not something I was okay with going through. I stopped even thinking about my bringing up my own family because the depression I was going through. I felt like I would be doing a disservice to my kid if I brought them into this world and genetically predispose them to this kind of feeling that I was going through at that time. I was ashamed of it, and I didn't know what to do. So I went to hospital. I took myself to hospital, and I filled in a questionnaire that is used to assess whether you're okay. And it was about if you're feeling down and not feeling like doing anything for like a period of 2 weeks consistently, then that qualifies you for major depression. So yeah, that's how I was diagnosed. They recommended therapy, but I didn't have trust in therapy. So I asked them if they could recommend some medication, which they did, and the medication helped. But things were not getting better, and life was becoming harder and harder. My grades were going down, and I I could not. My program I was in the program of computer science, so I reached a point where I could not reach the minimum requirements to continue with the program. So I had to shift from our computer studies, computer science to a simpler program. I took up African Studies and Equity Studies. So that's what I was to graduate with, but things got bad. I remember that's when I started self-medicating. The medication was doing fine, but I was still feeling depressed. I would sleep for up to 19, 20 hours. Then when I was awake, I was on Netflix just passing time. I would walk out at night. I remember walking, sitting on the sidewalk, crying. I remember crying and crying and crying. I cried so much. I had associated crying with being beaten. I I don't remember unless I was very young as a kid, but in my adult life, the only, or at least my teenage life, the only crying I did was when I was beaten up by my parents or someone, but not just crying out of emotional over being emotionally overwhelmed. So I found a job. I tried finding jobs. I was fired a few times. Others were too difficult to maintain. I got a job in a nightclub, and that started my addiction journey. I started taking alcohol. Then I had read somewhere that marijuana helps with depression, so I started self-medicating with marijuana. All at that time, all you needed is to go to hospital and get a card, and then you can buy the marijuana from the shops. So I wanted to do that, but even before I did that, the government just made marijuana legal for everyone to use and anyone to buy. So I went and self-medicated, and I liked it. I liked the feeling, but it was making me very lazy, and I was just in my mind laughing all the time, and it was a new feeling that I like because it had been long since I had laughed sincerely, like at something. Like even when I watch comedy shows, I was stone faced and all that kind of stuff. So, but later on, as I explained in a previous video, that's what led me to my schizophrenia. So it graduated from just simple depression, me trying to deal with it. Then I have schizophrenia, and the depression wasn't gone, but it stopped becoming the main problem because now I was seeing things, I was hearing voices, and I could not differentiate reality from like my imagination and all the hallucinations that I was having. So it reached a point where now I could not even study anymore. So uh, I the depression got really serious, and now I had to go home. Like I had to come back to Kenya because like I was walking from morning to evening. I was having hallucinations. I was very restless, uh, and the medication was not working this time. So I was told to just go back home. It was when Corona was first starting back in 2020. So that's when I came back home, and then the scholarship program I was ending there, or the scholarship that I was on. So I that's when I moved to USIU, and that's where I am currently. Um, yeah, I'm still on antidepressants. I'm feeling much better. I have had time to process all the problems in my life. I wouldn't say life has gotten better. My relationship with my parents is very strained because I wanted to quit school, and they are very focused on their like the family. I mean, is very school like focused. So that has really strained our relationship because I felt I could not continue with school with in my current state where I have depression and schizophrenia. But things are getting better. And, my problems are not gone, but I have learned ways to cope with them. Medication, therapy, reading, watching things that like I like watching philosophical things and all that kind of stuff, and that has made me meet a lot of people online who go through the same mind process that I'm going through and who are going through even bigger problems than me, and that helps to ease the pain that I'm going through. But yeah, I we'll make another video on this later on, but as for now, that's it.